Welcome everyone to our after church tea time today on the topic of Divine Mother. My name is Dennis, and I just want to start with giving everyone who's here a quick opportunity to introduce themselves, and then we can dive right into our discussion. So,
I'm Alden. I'm an Ascension coach and happy to be here.
I'm Doreen. I'm a member of a community.
perfect. That was quick. We're not that many people. So, how to start? I just want to kind of start with sharing how I emotionally experienced the sermon, because I feel like Divine Mother is such an emotional experience. If to put it like that, I don't quite know how to describe it, but I've experienced the sermon as it had a very comforting and nurturing and soothing energy, from the moment that Dia started talking, and even with Fabian speaking in the introduction, I was like, oh wow, this feels like I could already feel all of this motherly love. And even now in this discussion where we talk about this, it's still there, this energy of Divine Mother. And it's just a very, very warm and beautiful thing to experience that. And I can just say for myself that when I relate to God, I feel like I mostly relate to God as Father God. And somewhere along my journey, I started okay, God is the divine feminine and the divine masculine, Mother and Father God. I started cultivating my relationship with Mother God more, but the sermon definitely helped me to see where I've still been, where I still can go deeper with that and cultivate a relationship with Mother God in a more proactive, more focused way, in the sense of really, really building a relationship with her. So that's definitely one thing that I've been really got from the sermon. And also it kind of really brought up all of my upsets with Divine Mother, and all the things that I've had even with my own personal biological mother, or divine feminine energies in my life. A part of me was oh wow, Divine Mother feels so good. And a part of me was oh wow, I feel kind of a lot of discomfort come up too at the same time, where I'm realizing it's this kind of fear of intimacy, or fear, just different fears of surrendering to Divine Mother and opening up emotionally and in my heart to let her in and be vulnerable and have that relationship with her. So that's just kind of my starting input that I wanted to share. And I'm curious to hear from you, Alden and Doreen, how you've experienced it, and what your insights and takeaways were. Who wants to go next?
I just thought about it, but I feel like I have acknowledged Divine Mother very recently in my life. I think it's because we three obviously live in the Western world, and it's more Christian. And in the Western world, God is almost always represented as white bearded man. And so it was pretty much news to me while discovering myself on the journey to really understand that God is a twin flame, and that there is a Divine Mother. I didn't really see it that way growing up. I just had the saints and the ascended masters to look up to, and some of them are women, and so it felt in my mind, Divine Mother was a bit forgotten. But it was good to acknowledge that now, and I feel like I'm still at the beginning of building a relationship with Divine Mother. And it's really good that the sermon was an introduction to Divine Mother, because we know now that Divine Mother exists, but how does it work? Like, what's our relationship? How does it differ from our relationship with Divine Father? These are all questions that I ask myself, and I'm really happy to explore that today.
I love that. I was like what you just said, especially at the end, like this like question of like, okay, what's the difference when you like between the relationship you cultivate and build with Divine Mother and between the relationship you cultivate and build with Divine Father? And like I have to honestly say right now I'm kind of like not really clear on that just yet, just like kind of started thinking about that. But like as you said, I'm happy to like, you know, if we get to explore that in this discussion and just like speak about that, that would be definitely very interesting. But yeah, let's see what Alden has to share.
Yeah, I mean, I love what you both shared, and I was thinking about how Abir was talking about Divine Mother like teaching you everything throughout lifetimes, and I thought of myself, you know, and all the times like I've taught, and like I've taught kids to eat, or like put stuff on their plate off to the side, and just like all these little things. And I realized that it was kind of like Divine Mother showing me how to like receive love from her too, you know, and loving. And yeah, it's really beautiful because I as well have, I have a biological mother that I'm not really, I don't consider her really like a mother figure in my life. And so, you know, it's really nice to fully embrace still like the Divine Mother and know that, you know, I do have a mother and claim that. Feels really good. And I also really loved what was said about Jesus, and how, you know, as an example of Divine Mother coming through, like being channeled through the Divine Masculine as well, because of all the love that's received. And then, you know, you could apply that vice versa too, I think, in its own unique way with Divine Father. So yeah, that's what came to me.
Beautiful. One, you know, as you were just talking about, like, you know, you by like, you know, biological moms and all of that. One thing that I really, that like was kind of the highlight of the sermon, like for me personally, where I was like, oh my God, this is so incredibly beautiful, was when Abir was sharing her experience that she had with Divine Mother in the shower, I think it was, where Divine Mother was talking to and was just like saying that, like, hey, your biological mother loves you in this like lifetime, but I've been with you every lifetime. And I know you so much better than your biological mom because I've been your mom in every single one of your lifetimes, all of eternity. Like that felt so incredibly comforting because it's like literally you have this perfect divine mother who's like literally knows you better than anyone else, who's been with you and mothering you for all of eternity in every single life you've had. And that was like, I feel like, you know, even when it comes to healing, this whole thing of like what kind of Abir mentioned, like surrendering your biological mother to God and really learning what it means to accept and have Divine Mother as your true mother. I found that really, really helpful to just like have this deep awareness of what Divine Mother really is to you, that she's really been there with you all this time and being a mother for all of eternity. And I've been always a child for all of eternity. Like that's just such a deep and eternal relationship. It's kind of hard to describe it, but it's a very, like for me, a very like comforting and safe feeling that I receive from that.
Yeah, definitely a feeling of safety. No, and let's see what, so Stephanie says, amen, it's safe no matter where you are in your relationship with Divine Mother, and going deeper into knowing and loving her from wherever you are is enough. Nicely
That's
said.
beautiful.
I think it's really, as always, is divine timing, you know, because like the sermon was really needed. I healed a lot about healed a lot of family issues and upsets this week, and it feels good to know that Divine Mother is always there, like guiding you for eternity. And it brings me peace, like just knowing that she's present. It's something that is really beautiful to me. And it's also funny because this was not premeditated, I don't know. But Christine, the first card that she drew in the card reading was healing family issues, without even like knowing the connection to the sermon about Divine Mother. I was like, okay, it looks like how I heal my relationship with my family, with my mother, is through Divine Mother as well. And the beer and her story about Divine Mother and her biological mother and their connection was really a confirmation of that. Yeah, I'm feeling like also one other thing that really touched me is the story of Mother Mary and how she was a yogini for lifetimes before. And I think I love that because of her connection with the East, she was able in her last life on Earth to bring like this love of Divine Mother that she had learned to cultivate and be the embodiment of Divine Mother on Earth, and be the Mother of Jesus. And I think it's a really powerful thing. It's really cool, actually, to think that Mother Mary has been a yogini, and that is where she studied everything that she knows. And yeah, no, I just feel this story is so cool. I just wanted to mention that.
Wonderful, thank you.
I was just going to read some comments that Stephanie also wrote. Yes, I'm so happy Abir shared her experience with Divine Mother with us. So vulnerable and divine, really opens up your heart in knowing that you are never alone and always loved no matter what it looks like on the outside. Oh, that's a really nice point. That speaks to that energy of protection and like, Kali, and just like what Abir was speaking about in the sermon too. And I was thinking about that, like, within the last day or two, just sometimes to feel through your feelings, to fully embrace your divine self. There can be that, coming through too. So, oh, and my phone, I don't know, I don't see the other comment right now, but yeah.
Yeah, I feel like one other thing that is coming up for me right now with the sermon is like the part where Bia shared how Divine Mother is like your guru and teacher, and like teaches you everything, like how to walk, how to speak, and everything. And I feel like that's for me just like a new way of really seeing Divine Mother, because it's kind of like I don't know, I just like never thought of it like that way, that, you know, to kind of go to Divine Mother to like learn things. I think that's where, quite honestly, I've been like focusing overly just like on on Father God, and kind of thinking that, like, you know, Father God is the one who teaches me everything. And now I'm like, with this like sermon, opening up to more like, you know, God as a whole, as Divine Mother and Divine Father, and realizing that, like, wow, Divine Mother is like teaching us a lot. And also what Adil mentioned, like this whole like nurturing yourself, and how she mentioned how she was like cooking and all of that, and feeling it as if like Divine Mother was cooking with her or through her. And I was like just thinking, like, that's like such a beautiful way to like approach all these like things in your life, where you're like nurturing yourself or taking care of yourself. And yeah, just like a very, I just loved a bit.
Yeah, it felt really good. Like I had goosebumps when you said that. Yeah, I want to also mention one thing that Fabian said in his closing message. He read from Shaleia's post, I think, about Divine Mother. At the very end, it said, like, love Divine Mother, and in turn, the relationship with Divine Father will improve. Because remember, Divine Mother, God is a twin flame, and they are in love. I think it's so beautiful. Like, to love Divine Mother is a very natural step to, learn about love and nurture yourself at the same time. And naturally, from that, you'll have an improved relationship with God, and just, vibrate up in your life higher. Learn about new things. Just be more connected to the divine. So, yeah.
I also loved that bit that Fabian mentioned in the introduction about how Divine Mother is not a vending machine. I think that was I just like, you know, kind of unexpected way to put it, but like it was actually like perfect, because, and you know, that obviously applies to the entire relationship with God, like to not treat God like a vending machine. But like, yeah, it's like so true with Divine Mother, because especially, I think, I'm not sure if this is from Shaleia's post or was mentioned by a beer. I know I've read this in one of Yogananda's book too, where he has a small book where she talks about how to talk to God. And in that book, Yogananda mentions how like Divine Mother has to answer to her children when they call out to her, because that's like her nature. And that's like something, you know, because of her nature, because she has to answer to you, it's kind of like something that you have to, I feel like, really honor and treat with like respect, and not like take advantage of it, so to say, and like constantly just like, yeah, use Divine Mother as like a vending machine to get everything you need from her, and like, you know, all of that. But like, you know, honor that relationship, and like love her and treat it like have a personal relationship where it's like where you love Divine Mother.
I feel like it's also teaching us about the nature of divine feminines, and how to treat your relationship with divine feminines, because it is to be honored and respected. And yeah, you have to be mindful of how you interact with divine feminines, and not demand from them, but like grow a relationship from a place which is really natural, by just loving them and feeling their presence. So yeah, in short, learning about Divine Mother is really like learning about life itself. It's a teaching experience, as well as it is a relationship.
Perfectly said.
Yeah, that's really nice. made me think about how it was also said, like, you know, Divine Mother is gonna be cool with you, like appreciating her gifts, so to speak, you know, that's nice. But to really like invite her there with you, you know, in a way that isn't like you're not trying to get something, but that really spoke to me because I was like, yeah, you know, that really, like, I've had experiences too where like I want to like give in that way, like I want to like be there. And so it's nice to also like be invited, you know, to do that. So like it helped me like with the other part of receiving that too.
Hmm. Perfect. I was just taking a look at the comments too. And I think it is Stephanie, like Grandma was sharing how like, yeah, the knowledge of eternal mother being there through all lifetime feels so real. That was like the bit we talked about earlier, but that's really like, it just kind of feels so real and really, really beautiful. And the beer was just saying that Divine Mother is closer, she is Mama. Really, you know, I think like what, you know, like with the beer's comment, I think like what, you know, one thing that like really, I feel like her sermon, like she spoke to really, really well in her sermon, was this whole thing of having this like closeness with Divine Mother, like this really this personal relationship and this like closeness, like treating her like, you know, kind of what she mentioned in her comment right now. It's like, this is my mom. Like it's not this far off something person, like, you know, somewhere far, far away, but it's like she's really, really close to us, and we're really, really close to her. And we, as the beer mentioned in the sermon, she gave birth to our soul, which is a very intimate thing.
It reminds me of not a sermon, a class from TFAS, where Jeff and Shaleia were talking about parental relationships and how just by giving birth, the woman is very nurturing, like the divine feminine is more nurturing, you know, parent. And yeah, as just said, like she gave birth to our soul. It is pretty intimate. It is pretty close. I like this image a lot.
What was the last bit?
I like. I was saying I like this image a lot that you gave.
Oh, Bea just said something. She's saying Divine Father is the seed of creation and Divine Mother is the earth. Only with these coming together, a life is born. Damn, that's deep. That's so beautiful to also like see how like these two energies like work together in Abia's comments. Thank you for sharing this, Abia. That's really, really beautiful. And Granville just said, I loved how she spoke to all the roles that Divine Mother plays in our lives. Just the comprehensiveness of who Divine Mother really is. That was definitely a really, really beautiful thing about the sermon, to just like see, kind of get a glimpse into all aspects of Divine Mother. And like, yeah, I can say like for me, there were, as I mentioned before, definitely some aspects where like I hadn't thought that Divine Mother had like this role in my life and in creation. And yeah, it's definitely like going deeper into understanding both like what like the role of Divine Mother, and kind of along with that also the role of Divine Father, and just getting clear on, yeah, what role each of them has and how they interact together, work together, like complement each other, and how both are needed for life to exist.
Yeah, as you're talking about that, what keeps coming up for me is like getting clear on one's like soul design through this closeness too, because God desires for you to know yourself. And so yeah, it's a really good way to love yourself at the core.
Mm-hmm. I keep thinking, or like with the so divine mother kind of topic, and like the divine father topic, kind of hanging in the air. With this, like I keep thinking about like my relationship with Nicole's and I's kid, and how like we like parent him differently, and how like he like requires different things from me than what he requires from Nicole. And it's also kind of bringing me deeper into how like Nicole and I like complement each other in our parenting. Like she brings the divine mothering energy, and I bring the divine fathering energy. And like in many cases, like sometimes when our kid, like I know he does some kid stuff, and he's just like, I don't know, doing crazy things that kids do at the age of 6. And then like I'm like sometimes like disciplining him, telling telling him something and directing him or whatever. And then sometimes he like has a big upset coming up because of what I said and the discipline I gave him. And then usually I'm just like there, like holding space and being present. And Nicole like naturally comes in and like starts to like nurture him and like guide him through the mirror exercise. I do that sometimes too, but it comes more naturally for me to like discipline him and like give him that like, I don't know, it's a bit hard to describe, and it's still like a really new thing for me. So I'm just like at the very beginning of exploring that. But yeah, it's just like it's definitely a different way of like parenting that he gets from me, and then what he gets from Nicole. And Nicole disciplines him sometimes too, but it also comes from like a different like energy. It's more like this, like also like this nurturing and obviously feminine energy. Whereas, yeah, I don't quite know how to describe it, quite honestly, but I just wanted to bring it up to like share that that's like something that came to me with this like whole topic, like kind of going deeper into finding out how my like how I'm parenting, how my parenting energy is in relation to our kid.
How you described it, it felt like you gave a structure, maybe like a more external structure, when Nicole seems to focus on the inner workings, the inner work, maybe.
That's interesting. I never thought about it that way. I think when it comes to parenting, that's sometimes what how we really like what it really is. That's interesting. Thank you for sharing that, Yoreen. I reflect deeper on that.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, like God definitely shows us the way about how a seamless relationship works and what it can create, how powerful it is, and how perfect it is, because there is no separation between divine father and divine mother.
I love that you bring that up, and I have to say, I think from even with you talking about this and like this piece that I shared at the beginning, where I was like, I've always focused more on Father God and on Mother God. I'm like, over the last couple of days, like I've been thinking about this, and I've kind of come to this realization that one of the blocks I have is like seeing divine masculine, divine feminine, on this instant divine father and divine mother is like separate. And like definitely I remember there in their like sexual manifestation ecos, they like mentioned that like masculine and feminine are not opposites but complements, and they're like in truth one. But yeah, I feel like that's like it's a really deep like thing, and I would be lying if I said that I completely understand that at the core and like feel it in my consciousness and being. So that's definitely something that I can say I am working through to come to really realize that masculine and feminine are one. And you know, that definitely applies to your twin flame. And you know, God is a twin flame, as you Abir mentioned and you shared earlier. I think it was you, Yoreen. Let's see if we have to. Does anyone of you have something to? Orden, were you about to say something?
Well, if there's comments, it's fine. I don't remember what I was going to say exactly, but no. I mean, like one thing is, you know, the twin flames are manifested from the same soul blueprint. So that's like a nice way sometimes to come back to it for me. And and also like I just really loved what you were sharing about parenting, because in my experience, like caretaking or teaching, one of the most challenging things was showing up as like the person, you know, like having both there is so relieving to like both parties, or like to everyone, to the child or whoever's, you know, the student, whatever, and then, you know, to you and to Nicole, like everyone has a role in that, and that's just such a beautiful thing to like deepen into that and get clear.
Definitely work in progress too, but I feel yeah, everything we're talking about today is kind of work in progress. But that's a beautiful thing, because it's like an exploration of your relationship with God and yourself and who you really are, as you mentioned, Alden. It's all an exploration and a journey of continuously, eternally going deeper, finding out more about who is God, who am I, what is my relationship with God like. We have another comment from Stephanie. She's saying, I feel like my biggest block to the Divine Mother that I am working through is that deep intimacy with her. I feel like having that deep, intimate relationship somehow is not acceptable, because my bio mom taught me that we aren't friends and will never be. But Divine Mother desires so deeply to have that level of intimacy in our relationship too. That's really beautiful, and thank you for sharing, Stephanie. That is, yeah, I definitely rate you that. That's like that like deep intimacy that like it's like natural with like God, be it Divine Mother, Divine Father. That's definitely like requires some inner work to surrender to that.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like that with my biological mom sometimes too. It's like she learned from her parents that to parent a kid, you have to be more strict or the superior person in the relationship. And yeah, that doesn't feel good. Like it's because the relationship with your divine parents is a relationship of also being best friends. And yeah, I felt just understanding that is feeling the inner child who thought that he had to be separate from his parents to truly respect their relationship.
Yeah, and I feel it also, you know, kind of goes back to the really basics of God is your ultimate lover, your best friend, your ultimate teacher, and your guru, and all of that. And that applies to both Divine Mother and Divine Father, each in their own way. Another comment from Stephanie. I love how our biological parents always mirror us our own blocks to our relationship with Divine Mother and Divine Father. Yep, they definitely do that. that's also like, I guess like healing your relationship with Divine Mother and Divine Father. It's like a really good thing to like start at looking at your relationship with your biological parents, just as Stephanie just like mentioned, and like see like, how do I feel about my biological mom and my biological dad? Like, what's coming up with that? What is that relationship showing me? What isn't working in that relationship? What fears is that relationship bringing up? And yeah, I can say for myself that I've always had really, really big issues opening up to my mom, like when it comes to being intimate. Like that was something that was always very, very daunting for me. And it's one of these things that is still work in progress. It's definitely changed a lot over the years, but it's this, a relationship that, at least for me, requires a lot of work. And that's okay. We can all accept ourselves where we are.
Yeah, something that comes to mind is like, and I was thinking about this last night before, I saw the sermon, but thinking about my mother, and I really like was just like loving the truth of her, or like those glimpses that I have had of like who she is, and like just, and like Abir said, surrendering your parents to God, basically. That was really nice, nicely said, and her own experience with that. And yeah, it's so important to just choose to heal through that. Because ultimately, like at the end of the day, like the person that you're forgiving or whatever feelings are there is, yourself. So if there is something there, it's really, it's a block to just where you can give and receive more love when you heal it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Is there anything else from the sermon that is coming up for you guys that was like something that you really stood out for you? Because I don't have anything coming up anymore when I think God is. Oh, yeah, Reem, go ahead.
I was feeling into what Abir was sharing about gods and like deities from the Indian culture, and I feel like I deeply admire how they illustrate the relationship with God through these different deities, and I really have a desire to like go deeper into that. I feel like there's such a treasure chest from these, and like Abdir, like if you want to link us up to the sermons that you've been watching about that, I'd be happy to watch them as well, because this intrigues me, and this is something that we don't learn in our cultures. So yeah, I feel that from that we can have deep understandings for ourselves of the history of Divine Father and Divine Mother with humans, and how we can cultivate our relationship as well. So yeah, I'm deeply interested in that knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how you guys felt about her describing the different like things from Indian culture.
I feel pretty similar as you. I think it's a really really interesting way to kind of relate to God through these different like deities, or find out about God through all these different representations, so to say, or like expressions of God. And yeah, it's a really it's an interesting, I want to say, like, approach. And yeah, I just really enjoyed that you're bringing all of that up. That's my perspective on it. I don't really have anything to say to take us deeper there. Like, I've read some of like Yogananda's work, but I can't say that I'm that deeply into like Indian like culture and all of that. I'm kind of on the Western side of things and only like starting to learn more about that. And yeah, through our community obviously and the unionism discussion group. And yeah, let's see if we have something else. So Bia is saying, only when I surrendered my mom to Divine Mother could then Ma Durga manifest the miracle of bringing her back to our family and rescue her from a dark situation. That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that, Abia. And Stephanie is saying, responded to that and said, the power of Divine Mother.
Yeah, something that comes up for me is the power of creativity and creation. Like, I was going deeper with, like, self-expression is one thing, or like being creative, creating something, but then there's like a deeper quality of perfection, you know, when you really hit that creativity just right and can expand from there, from that place of peace. And to me, Divine Mother really, you know, nurtures me there. Like, I feel that, and that feels really good. And yeah, like a quality of the Divine Mother. I shuffled some cards from Nature's Whispers because I just thought, you know, we're kind of getting close to the end, and this is the deck. It seemed like a good one. I have it right here for Divine Mother, but the card is, ooh, shift your energy.
The only thing that I'm getting from that is to, I guess, kind of like, oh, how to put that? Let me just, I need to feel more into that. Like, approach Divine Mother, like almost like in a new way. Like, it almost has this feeling of like letting go of like past and future, or like you've experienced with your biological mom, or like, you know, other like mother figures you had in your life, and just approach it from like heal, and approach it from like a healed and new state of being, so that you can actually see Divine Mother for who she really is.
Yeah, that's a really beautiful interpretation, and yeah, I feel that.
Yeah, I didn't see the whole drawing, but it seemed like Divine Mother. Thank you. It seems like Divine Mother is blowing wind on something, and so it's like a new wind in our relationship with God. Through Divine Mother.
I love that.
Okay, one more card. Clear Endeavor. I kind of get from this card like the innocence too of Divine Mother. Like, we talked a lot about her being very motherly, but there's, you know, complete innocence and purity there. Yeah, and that feels really good and refreshing too. I don't know if anyone else has anything.
You know what came up for me now with this is one thing that Rabia mentioned in the sermon. She said that it's really easy to have a relationship with Divine Mother. She said that towards the end, and like when she mentioned it, I was like, oh wow, like that's like actually, you know, like so true. And I think this card really speaks to it. Like it's just like it's like easy to do that. It's like the path is clear. Just like, choose it and have the relationship with Divine Mother. It's like not this like hard thing.
Yeah, it's like now that we know her a little more, it's like a new desire to have that relationship, to search for that relationship in our lives.
Perfect. Do we want the last card and then
Sure.
we can kind of start wrapping this up?
Ooh, very nice last card too. Be true to your heart. Radiant. I get radiant,
What I get from that too is that like Divine Mother is in your heart, and she's just in your heart.
Yeah, it's like within your heart, there's already the love of Divine Mother because she created you. So it's safe to be in that space with her. And I think a beer as a comment for us, she said, like, I often put my head in her lap and feel her soft breath while I go to sleep. This is really sweet. I love this. Yeah, just like thank you again, Libya, for this beautiful sermon, and it's really opened like a whole conversation for us. It really was very beautiful.
I agree.
Yeah, me too.
Do we all feel complete?
Yes, I do.
You too, Yobi? Awesome. I feel complete too. So thank you everyone for watching, and have a wonderful rest of your Sunday.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.